Welcome to the Pace Lap. I'm Jessie Punch alongside my co-host this week, Xfinity Series driver Kaz Grala. The season opening race for the NASCAR Cup Series, the Daytona 500, was postponed to Monday due to rain on Sunday afternoon. Denny Hamlin earned his second Daytona 500 victory in a row, third of his career. However, that victory was overshadowed by a last lap incident involving Ryan Newman. Immediately after the race, Newman was taken to nearby Halifax Health Medical Center. Monday night, NASCAR Executive Vice President Steve O'Donnell made the announcement that Newman is in serious but stable condition with non-life-threatening injuries.
So I wanted to provide everybody an update on Ryan Newman. He's been transported to Halifax Medical Center, undergoing further treatment and evaluation. We've been in continual dialogue with the race team and Ryan's family, and on behalf of Roush Racing, they've asked us to read a statement to give you an update, and the statement reads as follows. Ryan Newman is being treated at Halifax Medical Center. He's in serious condition, but doctors have indicated his injuries are non-life-threatening. We appreciate your thoughts and prayers and ask that you respect the privacy of Ryan and his family during this time. We appreciate your patience and cooperation and will provide more information as it becomes available. That's the end of the statement. And then certainly on our behalf, we're going to continue to work with the race team and Ryan's family to support them in any way we can. We'd ask that you respect their privacy, and going forward, we'll provide updates as we can, but at this time, our thoughts are with Ryan and his family. Thank you.
Again, that is all of the information that we have as of right now, Tuesday morning. Please continue to keep Ryan Newman and his family and the entire NASCAR community in your thoughts and prayers. Kaz, as we both know, there are a lot of moving parts and pieces on any given race day, especially post-race and especially at the Daytona 500. Now, when it comes to medical protocol, that is a very particular process that the on-track medical assistants are going through to ensure that they are keeping the driver as safe as possible. So it does take a little bit of time for word to be given to all of the NASCAR community and everybody involved. It takes a while for us to understand the seriousness and details of the situation at hand. We heard Joe Gibbs address the post-race events in the media center on Monday night.
When everything happened at the end of the race, I knew that there was a race, but I never even focused over there. I was focusing on our car, and everybody started celebrating around us. So I say to everybody out there, some people may have saw us and said, well, these guys are celebrating when there's a serious issue going on. So hopefully I apologize to everybody, but we really didn't know. We got in the winner's circle, and then that's when people told us later on the winner's circle. So anyway, I just wanted to say and state that for everybody. That's what took place for us. And so now it's hard. We're all waiting.
It's a very genuine apology from Coach Gibbs. You can really see how much this has affected everyone involved and everyone who's a part of the NASCAR family. Kaz, as a driver, can you speak to that post-race environment and what everyone was going through in those immediate hours following?
Yeah, I mean, for Denny being inside the car, obviously he's got a very limited scope of what he can see and what he knows. It's not uncommon on the last lap of the 500 to have a crash, but of course I'm sure he had no idea as to the extent and the severity of it, and his spotter was solely focused on making sure Ryan was okay and safe with Ryan's spotter. So there was definitely a breakdown of communication, but I didn't find that to be anything out of the ordinary that I would expect after winning the Daytona 500.
Well, and as we touched on as well, there is a process that medical personnel have to go to, and at the forefront of that process is ensuring the driver's safety. And as we both know, that can take a while for them to get out to the driver and make sure that what they're doing is correct and what they're telling everyone is absolutely correct as well. Well, we are incredibly thankful for all of the medical personnel, both at the racetrack and at Halifax Health Medical Center, that tended to the situation at hand. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Pace Lap, here with my co-host this week, Xfinity Series driver Kaz Grala. Kaz, we watched the Daytona 500 this past weekend. Denny Hamlin earned his third Daytona 500 win. He now joins 6 other drivers, all of which are Hall of Famers, in having 3 or more Daytona 500 wins. This is also the first time since 1995 that a driver has gone back-to-back in winning the Daytona 500, that driver before him being Sterling Marlin. And ironically enough, this finish was the second closest Daytona 500 finish, only second to 2016 when Denny Hamlin beat Martin Truex Jr.
Denny is an unbelievable plate racer. We've seen that year after year. And to me, what I find really special is his communication with his spotter, Chris Lambert. I mean, they clearly have a choreography figured out on the racetrack that seems to bode well for them in the Daytona 500. And so if they keep doing what they're doing, I wouldn't be surprised to see him win some more 500s before he's done.
Yeah, it really doesn't matter the car setup, the package that we're running, the time of day, the day of the week, they can pull off a win. Well, the Daytona 500 was not the only action at the track over the weekend. Let's look back to some of the action earlier in the weekend with the ARCA Menard Series in the NASCAR Gander RV and Outdoors Truck Series. The ARCA Menard Series East defending champion Sam Mayer started the season off with a win at New Smyrna Speedway. Derek Griffith, in his ARCA debut, had the fastest car on the track, starting on the pole and leading a total 144 laps. But a pit road penalty forced him to the back of the field after a late caution. Lap 156, contact on the front stretch between Tanner Gray and Mason Diaz sends Gray's car into the wall, his right side tires up and onto the barrier. With less than 20 laps remaining, Griffith worked his way back to the front, challenging Mayer in the final laps. Griffith ultimately finishing second, with Ty Gibbs behind him in third. Action from the start for the Gander trucks at Daytona. Just 15 laps into the race, an accident on the front stretch flips rookie Ty Majeski on his lid, sending him screeching down the track with 8 other cars affected in the path. Majeski was cleared by the infield care center, but obviously unable to finish the race. First stage win goes to pole sitter Riley Herbst, while stage 2, it's defending regular season champion Grant Enfinger, who earns the stage point. Lap 66, trouble for Angela Ruck causes major contact in turn 2, setting fire to the number 20 truck of Spencer Boyd. Ben Rhodes in the lead, fending off Stuart Friesen in the final laps, but turn 2 strikes again, the biggest one of the day, 13 cars affected. This sends Rhodes along with 4 others to the garage, ending their day and taking away a shot at the win. Overtime attempt number 1, it's Enfinger back in the lead, but a hard-charging Jordan Anderson is putting up a fight for the finish. Anderson, looking for his first career win, briefly gets ahead of Enfinger, but a right door slam from Enfinger gives him the advantage. He crosses the finish line just 2 feet ahead of Anderson. Natalie Decker's 5th place finish in that race was not only a career best finish for her, but also best finish by a female in the Gander Truck Series.
It's just amazing. All the hard work we put in to my career, my family has been backing me since I was 9 years old, and to be able to come here and run this good at Daytona. I know the first time I got in a truck here in Daytona, we were out lap 1 on fire. So to come back and finish this good, it makes me feel really happy.
Well, Kaz, I know that you and Natalie are pretty close friends. So what was that like for you to see her pull off such a big accomplishment?
That was really cool. I mean, she's been working on it for a while now in the Truck Series, so to see it all come to fruition, to start off this season for her was really, really exciting. She's now riding a high going into her next few races with Nice Motorsports.
We also saw a great accomplishment from the 2nd place finisher, Jordan Anderson. He almost pulled off his first career win there, but Grant Enfinger, as we saw, just edged him out there at the end. Now, I want to look at Enfinger's win because obviously he was the regular season champion in the Truck Series last year, but we forget that he was on a 28 race winless streak.
Yeah, I mean, it's extra special, right? Because you spend the whole offseason thinking about this race and trying to plan how you can win that race. So when you come out of turn 4, coming to the checkered in the lead or battling for the lead, you know that those opportunities don't present themselves very frequently. So you need to make the most of it. And he obviously did that, and Jordan Anderson did as well. I mean, they had a really good battle coming to the finish. It just so happened that the way they made contact made the 98 truck get ahead just a little bit and got the win. But if you were to replay that scenario 10 times, 50-50, one might win and the other might win. So those are the kinds of finishes that we live to see at Daytona.
After the break, we're going to take a look at the Xfinity Series action from Daytona and also hear from some of the drivers about the honor that it is to run on such a historic track. Rookie Myatt Snyder led the field to green for the first time in his career, but it was Jeb Burton who earned the first stage win. 3 cautions caused major damage for many cars, ending the day for a handful of drivers, including Myatt Snyder, Riley Herbst, and Stage 2 winner Justin Allgaier. Lap 114, Chase Briscoe and Noah Gragson contending for the lead, but a wild backstretch incident affects 13 cars, sending even more to the garage, including Austin Cindric, Brett Moffitt, and Jeb Burton. This brought out the red flag, setting up a 3-lap shootout to the finish. On the restart, a push from Harrison Burton propelled Gregson to the lead, and despite a final lap pileup on the backstretch, Gregson takes the checkered flag for his first Xfinity Series win. Noah, first win of your Xfinity Series career, and you did it here at Daytona in the season opener. What does this moment mean for you and your team?
I can't believe it. It's such a privilege to be able to race for Junior Motorsports, and then it's a dream come true to be able to race here at Daytona, and then to be able to win here. I can't put it into words. I'm so thankful and grateful for the opportunity with everybody at Bass Pro Shops, Black Rifle Coffee, True Timber. Very thankful for everybody at Chevy Junior Motorsports. This is a dream come true, and I can't wait to just soak it all in, and this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
Kaz, you've been in that Xfinity field, racing in that race at Daytona. Put me in the driver's seat. Looking back to those last 10 laps, the red flag coming out, what's that like for a driver to be so mentally focused on this race and then having to stop everything that they're doing?
That's really hard. I mean, Daytona already is mentally taxing and very stressful as a driver. I mean, the plate races are some of the few races a year where you feel like there are aspects that are out of your control as a driver. So you're already kind of nerved up and psyched out in the race to begin with. Then you have to park the car and sit there, let your adrenaline come down, and just focus on all of these emotions. And the worst thing you can do as a driver is try to plan what's going to happen in the rest of the race, because then you just totally psych yourself out. So red flags are really hard everywhere we go, but Daytona is the last place you want to have a red flag that late in the race. So I'm sure the drivers were definitely thinking and overthinking what was going to happen in the rest of the race. So I did not envy their position at that time.
Well, you make a great point. It's like, to be successful following a situation like that, you have to have a lot of mental strength and composure. And I have to give a huge props to Noah Gragson, because I feel like we have seen an immense amount of growth and maturity from him, not only just from that Victory Lane interview, but from seeing how he's racing on the track and being able, like you said, to bounce back from having to completely stop everything during that red flag. That's a big feat to get that win.
Yeah, Noah Gragson's a friend of mine, so I was really happy to see that for him, and certainly I know what that feels like to win at Daytona, so it was really cool to see for him.
Yeah, you definitely do know what it feels like to win at Daytona. We're going to touch on that a little bit later, looking back to your Gander Trucks win in 2017. We didn't see you run in the Xfinity Series race at Daytona this past weekend, but we are going to see you a little bit later this season. What's on the schedule for you in RCR?
You sure will. Yeah, I will be driving that 21 car in the Xfinity Series a little bit later this year. Probably late summer will be when I'll start. So you'll see me in some second half of the year races. So I've got a little bit of time to get ready for that, fortunately and unfortunately. But when I do get in the car, I'll definitely be ready for it.
What are some goals for you personally this year, knowing that you have a limited schedule with RCR and we don't even know which races you're running yet this year?
Well, I don't either. So that's still in the process of being worked out. But what I do know is the team, we've got Andy Street as the crew chief, and I worked with him already a little bit as my engineer last year on the 21 car. So I feel like we've got good communication already, which is a huge step in the right direction. So I feel like our expectations for this year are a little bit higher than they were last year. I think that we should easily be able to go out there and compete in the top 5, and with that comes contending for wins on weekends where you hit everything right. So I'm looking forward to that, and hopefully we'll park that thing in victory lane at some point.
Well, I know we're looking forward to seeing what you do this year in that 21 car. Kaz, we mentioned just a minute ago that you have a win under your belt at Daytona back in the Gander Truck Series in 2017. Well, I chatted with some drivers at the racetrack this weekend about what an honor it is to run at Daytona for the first time, and really to run there at all. So let's hear what some of these drivers had to say before the race.
Well, confidence is always high when you get to Daytona. You know, you get to the end of the season, everybody's tired, everybody's exhausted. Obviously, we had a great run here last spring. We had a great end of the season. But, you know, everybody goes home over the offseason. They work really hard on their programs. Everybody at Junior Motorsports has been working really hard. So, you know, just managing the weekend, managing the stress, managing the pressure, I think is always a big deal.
Daytona's awesome. I've always had such great success here, you know, and I don't know why, because I suck at Talladega. So, you know, you think you go to the 2 Series Speedways, you run good at both, but that's just not the case.
For me, honestly, it's just it's going to be taking that green flag, you know, coming out turn 4 behind the pace car and, you know, seeing the grandstands underneath the lights. That's what Daytona always was for me, and I've always wanted to race here when I was a kid, and I'm actually getting ready to go do it.
I'm just really excited to be back here. Last year didn't go well. First lap we started on fire and didn't get to finish the race, but it's going to happen. Crazy things happen at Daytona.
I always love hearing all of the emotion from the drivers that comes with not only getting to run in one of the top series, but getting to run at one of the most historic racetracks that we have on the circuit. Now, Kaz, we mentioned your win in the Gander Truck Series. That was your first run in the trucks at Daytona. Now, I know you had a little bit of experience on the racetrack at Daytona in the ARCA Series. Take me back to either of those runs. What's that like, being on the grid before the race, knowing that you were about to do something amazing for your career?
Well, that was in 2017. It still feels like yesterday for me because you don't forget that feeling easily. So the ARCA race was my first start, and I was very nervous for that because before that I had only raced on short tracks. So this was a big step up for me, and I knew I had to do well to get approved for the truck race the next weekend. Thankfully, I did get approved because I went on to win that truck race the very next weekend. So not only just getting to be on the track and how special that is and how much history there is there, but then to be able to go to victory lane the next weekend was something that I know no win, I don't think, in my career could ever top that or add up to as special as that was for me. That's a day that you don't forget.
From just racing on nothing but short tracks to finding yourself in victory lane at the world center of racing, I have to imagine that that is quite a roller coaster of emotions in just a few weeks.
It was, and you go from pretty low to very high after that race, because into the race you have that whole week to think about how stressed you are for it. I mean, I was 18 years old, I hadn't been on a track that big, so there were a lot of nerves leading up to that. That was a tough week. And then to end it on such a high was truly, like you said, a roller coaster. I mean, you don't swing that far with your emotions usually on a normal race weekend. So that definitely added to, not only were you excited about the win, but you were relieved that the race was over and it went well. So there was a lot riding on that, and I was happy to end it as well as possible.
Well, and it's moments like that and accomplishments like that that put you where you are now, and we see you running in this RCR car. So that's really great. I love sitting here and reflecting with you. Well, coming up, we're taking a look at the weekend at Las Vegas and the excitement to come as NASCAR goes west. Welcome back to the Pace Lap, here with my co-host, Xfinity Series driver, Kaz Grala. Kaz, we are headed to Vegas this weekend, the start of NASCAR Goes West. Talk to me about Vegas. What do you know about that track?
Well, I know it's a really fun place. I always liked that as one of my favorite mile and a halves because you can race on all the grooves of the racetrack at both ends, and it always provides a great race because of that. So I'm really pumped to see all three series there this weekend and see what action they can put on the track.
I love what you said about that, because from a fan standpoint, not only is Vegas just a great track to go to in general, but if you can be there through qualifying and practice and the races, you really do see a great show, because drivers and teams are, like you said, testing out all the lines and trying to figure out what is going to work for them when competition time comes.
Yeah, and it's one of the tracks that we go to that's in an excellent area. I mean, it's only minutes from the city, so I know the whole NASCAR community always looks forward to going there, and I'm sure the fans appreciate that too.
Well, and like we said, this weekend kicks off the first race of NASCAR Goes West as we head to Vegas, Phoenix, and then out to Auto Club in California. So going to be an exciting few weeks to see drivers kind of spending time out west there and kicking up the competition for the season.
I'm sure we'll get some cool content from that and hear some stories from the teams, because there's always car shuffling and them trying to make backup cars work for this race and switch the primary over for this race. So it throws a monkey wrench in the system for all the teams and drivers out there.
But it's great for us if you're not having to deal with all of that. It's really fun for the fans. Well, let's hear from our good friend, America's crew chief, Larry McReynolds. He has some information on what the crew chiefs are looking for when heading to a track like Las Vegas.
Well, Jessie, it's the NASCAR West Coast Swing, and this will be the first time that we've really went straight from Daytona to Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And you know, when you look at the top 30 teams in the garage area, there are 17 major changes at the top. Either a different driver, different crew chief, couple of cases, both the driver and the crew chief are new to the race team. And even though we were at Daytona and we were there for about a week and a half, now this is where these relationships get put to the test. This is where you're in the trenches trying to make cars drive better and handle better. Yeah, they had to work on it at Daytona, but this is where it really, really starts. And now that we've been running this aero package for a year, think back this time last year, it was all about Joe Gibbs and Team Penske. I started seeing the Chevrolets catch up just a little bit, and remember, they have a new Camaro body style this year, so I'm anxious to see how these Camaros, Jessie, perform at our first mile-and-a-half track of 2020.
Well, if that is not some of the best insight in the sport, I don't know what is. Always really thankful to have Larry McReynolds, Larry Mack, giving us that crew chief insight from one of the best. Well, Kaz, thank you so much for being here and sharing a little bit about what your season outlook looks like. I'm very much looking forward to watching you run later this season.
Thank you for having me on. You'll be talking to me soon, I'm sure.
I'm sure we'll see you around on the pace lap again very soon. Well, that's all for this week's show. Please, again, remember to keep Ryan Newman and his family and the entire NASCAR community in your prayers. I'm Jessie Punch here with Kaz Grala. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you at the track.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our fans for your support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.